most of the people are here, so we're going to begin the webinar right now. So we are very excited to have Ernest Svenson on the line, aka Ernie the attorney. He's going to tell everyone about creating a practice so efficient that it virtually runs by itself. So Ernie, first off, I want to thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And to start things off, I'll just give everyone a little bit of a bio about us. Basically, my name is Dave Baton. I'm the CEO here at Practice Panther. On the phone, we have Ernie the attorney. Ernie spent 20 years actually doing commercial litigation in a big New Orleans firm. Along the way, he learned the keys to paperless lawyering, which in turn inspired him to start a ninja efficient solo practice. And now, as the founder of smallfirmbootcamp.com, he shows other lawyers how to put their practices on autopilot just like he did as well. Ernie's also a recognized speaker nationally and an author, and he also runs a website called paperlesschase.com. So Ernie, start us off by telling us a little bit more about yourself and books you've written.
Well, I practiced law for many years, as you said. I did it in a large firm. I'll talk a little bit about that when I get to how I transition and how technology played a role in that. These are some of the books that I've written over the years, and I'll tell people who are interested in the books how they can get them if they are interested in them. But what I really want to talk about today is something that I think can help everybody who's on this webinar, who listens to it later as a recording, especially those lawyers that are in small firms, because that's really where the rubber meets the road as far as technology goes. And so this talk I call Law Firm Autopilot because I do think that there's a lot of automation that lawyers can take advantage of that's already sitting there inside their computers, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, as I said, this talk applies to all lawyers, but it's going to be particularly beneficial and relevant to lawyers in small firms because those are the folks that they have the most control over how they want to practice law. They don't have to have a committee meeting to decide what they want to do. They can just kind of do it. And so being in a small firm has a lot of advantages. I know because I was in a big firm and then I was in a small firm. So the thing about small firms is, it's wonderful because you have autonomy and control, but it's also challenging because you don't necessarily have all the resources that big firms have. And while you can take advantage of technology, technology is also, for many small firms, one of the main sources of the challenge, right? And so we're going to talk about that. I think one thing that happens with some lawyers is they think that because technology is challenging and frustrating, it's their fault that they can't, solve this problem. And it is not their fault because, whoever taught you how to use this technology kind of appeared on the horizon quickly. They don't teach you in law school. They don't even teach you how to practice law in law school, so they're definitely not going to teach you how to use technology. But even CLE programs can't really fill that huge gap because technology appeared so quickly. It's changing so quickly, and so it is a challenge. But we're going to help the lawyers on this webinar today tackle that challenge.
And so basically, what you're saying is, the typical solo practitioner, small firm, doesn't have the resources as a big firm. You're pretty much doing everything yourself as a solo. So you need to be competitive by automating as much as possible to get more done faster using tools you already have today, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And, and they shouldn't feel intimidated. I had the same problem. So I guess, this is where I tell my story because I think it helps illustrate how I didn't have some magic bullet. I was not a technologist. I was a philosophy major, and I had to learn this stuff like everybody else did. And it was kind of accidental for me. And basically what happened was, when I went to law school, I thought I wanted to be like Perry Mason or Matlock and, be the solo, scrappy lawyer guy, and, be simple and efficient. But I was coming out of law school in 1985, and I did really well in law school, which was nice. And so because the legal economics were wonderful back then, there were all these firms that were growing, and everything was wonderful. If you did well in law school, firms were beating the door down to hire you and pay you a lot of money, and so that was great. I got out of law school, and there were all these big firms that were prestigious and so forth, but they weren't. That wasn't I didn't want to practice in a big firm, but I did want to do the kind of work that big firms did.
Right.
And so the temptation of money was one thing, the temptation of working for a prestigious firm was nice, but the real icing on the cake for me as far as the decision was, I really didn't know how to start a firm. They also don't teach you that in law school. And
Yeah.
so I said, well, I'm gonna go work in a big firm. They'll get good money. I have prestige, and it was great. Like I had a nice office, with a desk and fancy stuff. This is not my actual office, but
Ooh.
it looked fancy like this. And then the firm was in a tall building, and they had all kinds of smart people, paralegals and secretaries that knew exactly what to do, and they were at my disposal. And the cases that I worked on were really exciting, so life was really great, right? And then
Cool.
until it wasn't, when I became miserable because after a while I realized I knew how to practice law, I knew how to manage my cases, but I was trapped in this world because basically I had cases that were paper intensive. And when you have paper intensive cases, you need, boxes to put them in, file cabinets to store
Yep.
them in, office space to manage the file cabinets, and people to shuffle the paper around. And that meant I wasn't going to be able to leave a large firm and start a small firm. I was going to leave a large firm and start slightly smaller, but still complicated and convoluted. And I didn't want that, except that one day a friend of mine, who was in the copy service business, showed me how to scan documents. And he said, look, I'm going to do this for you for free on a page that you have. I'm going to scan them because I want you to see how this is going to improve your life. And I said, fine, whatever.
How long ago was this?
This was in 2001, I think, maybe, somewhere in
Okay,
there.
so scanners and computers starting to get more into the workforce, basically.
Yeah, and so I had this case. It was going to come up for trial in 30 days because it was a fast track TRO case. And I said, you got to copy all these documents. We need this stuff copied. He said, okay, fine, I'll copy the documents, but I'm also going to scan them like I told you, and I'm going to do it for free so you can see how this works.
Nice.
And then he showed me how it worked. And I said, oh, this is cool. I can just sit at my computer, hit next page, next page, next page, and quickly review these documents, which I needed to review myself because there wasn't time to offload that to a paralegal. And I was able to do it really fast, really efficiently. And then the mind-blowing thing that happened next was when I said, well, there's this one document that we need to find really quickly, and we know somebody wrote this, and I don't have time to go next page, next page. I'm just going to get the boxes out and see if I can find it that way. And he said, no, 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 you don't want to do that. He said, let me show you what
OCR,
this thing,
OCR.
yeah, he said, he was telling me about OCR, and I wasn't paying attention, and he said, let me just show you what this does. And I said, okay, and he typed in the keywords with the guy's name, and instantly there appeared not only the document I was looking for, but two other ones that were equally relevant. And then my mind was blown, and I said, okay, I see what I need to do here. I need to make every case from now on paperless and OCR it so I can search for things and do it more efficiently. And so that was when I began my quest to do this, and I did it over a long period of time, and I had to figure it out all on my own, or mostly on my own. There were other lawyers that were doing it, but not many. And
Right, back in
so
the day, right.
my message is to lawyers is, you don't need to figure it all out. Other people have figured this out. You just need to slipstream, to use a race car analogy, behind the people that have already figured it out. And they've connected the dots and just, look at what the dots were that they connected and leverage what they did. And that's what I've been doing ever since. And that's what I recommend other people do because it's efficient and it's less stressful. And
Right.
so,
And let me stop you there for a sec just to explain what OCR is. So a lot of people I know you and I are going to throw out a lot of terms that we expect people to know probably. So OCR stands for Optical Character Recognition. What that basically means is that once you scan a document in from a scanner to your computer, it automatically recognizes the text on the paper and it converts it to text on your computer so it's searchable. So you can do, Control F or find on a Mac, and you can search for any keyword or any name or any word you're looking for in the whole document, and it will find it right away. That's what Ernie was talking about.
yeah, exactly.
And searching for anything, thousands of pages in pretty much one click. And it's, Ernie, it's amazing that you were doing this 16 years ago, and I'm telling you, still today, a lot of attorneys don't even use scanners in their office. Do you know, is there a reason that you've seen? Why?
No, I think lawyers are busy, and when they have free time, they don't necessarily want to use that free time to, getting frustrated with technology. But if somebody can show them really quickly how they can benefit, they are interested now, and
Right.
so it's really just that. And so the OCR thing is one part of it, and paperless, as we'll talk about, because we're going to talk about what the progress, the progression is. But the big thing about being paperless, besides being able to find information really quickly, which is a huge benefit, is the idea that you can automate processes once they're digital. It's very inexpensive, and I have a graphic here using gears because it's very hard to represent what happens inside of a computer with automation because it's all electronic. But the mechanical metaphor, it works for people who need to understand that, well, if you do one thing, one gear spins, it spins another gear. Well, in the digital world, you can set up things to happen automatically very quickly at almost lightning speed, and it's cheap, it's fast, and it's a little challenging to figure out how to automate things, but it's not so much because of the computers, but rather because it's so powerful that you really have to wrap your head around what you can do and what the best practices are and things like that. And you don't need to really do it. You can hire people to do it for you, but you do need to understand that you would rather be automating things than doing them by hand or having people that work for you do them by hand, because humans make mistakes because they get bored or they get distracted, whereas computers do the same thing over and over really fast and they never make a mistake as
Right.
long as
Exactly.
the software doesn't futz. So automation is the key, and you don't need to get frustrated. It's possible to do it. Keys are tapping into things like online, the web, and so that's what I did. I leveraged the web. I started a blog. It was called Ernie the Attorney. That got a lot of attention, and it was at that point when I realized that I could attract clients automatically through the web at for low cost, basically $40 for the website I used back then. I knew that I could go out on my own because I could automate things. I could dispense with the need for filing cabinets. I could practice out of my house if I wanted to and have the same kind of work for the same kind of clients. And that's when I started my own firm. And along the way, I was motivated to keep things simple because I didn't want complexity in my life if I could avoid it. And
Right.
that meant getting rid of paper, which, of course, when I went up against big firms, they were very patronizing and dismissive. They had lots of paper that they managed in their cases, but meanwhile, I go to court with my little laptop and I could find things really quickly. And so, I not only would beat them in court, but I would humiliate them because they were constantly rummaging around and their clients or the judge was looking at them like, why are you so inefficient and disorganized when you have all these people? And here's this little guy with a laptop who's just quietly sitting there like, the duck where you don't see anything paddling underneath, but, on top of the
Yeah.
surface, it looks cool. So, um, the more I did it, the more I realized how powerful it was. And, basically the process, to turn it back to not what I'm doing or what I did, but rather how do the folks on this webinar do it. The process, if you want to break it down into 3 steps, it's, one, digitize everything that is in paper form and keep things that are in digital form in digital form. And then you automate as much as possible and figure out how to streamline your workflows. And when you've figured out what you can automate, then some things you have to delegate, but you can outsource those to virtual assistants, whether they're people that work within your firm remotely or people that you hire one-off on a part-time basis because they have special skills that you need either for a limited time or just on a limited time on an ongoing basis. That's the formula. That's what the modern law firm looks like: digitize, automate,
Yep.
outsource. And that I break it down into tech principles, 10 of them that I think are the ones that you can use to wrap your head around how you do all of this. And if you want, I can just go through those principles now.
Yeah, I had a quick question for you. So you were saying automation is obviously what you're going to show us now. Do you think that nowadays a lot of these bigger firms are doing the things you're talking about in this PowerPoint, or still no?
I think it's hard for me to wrap my head around that. I always bet against humans rapidly adopting new efficient ways of doing things, especially if they're in larger groups of humans where they have to have committees and subcommittees. And, so that's a cynical statement from somebody who worked in a large law firm where, people have the best of intentions, but, committees work against good intentions and create friction and barriers to things being adopted efficiently, which is why I said if you're in a small firm, you can adopt this stuff more quickly. Your challenge
Yeah.
is you need to do it in a way that isn't disruptive, but if you follow the right path and get the right assistance to help you connect the dots, then you can do it way more efficiently than large firms.
Got it. And large firms actually outsource anything? Do you think they would do that?
Well, yeah, they do outsource some things. I mean, they outsource their bookkeeping sometimes, but I think, they're more reticent about outsourcing uh, people because, the people part of the equation is where they need to make money. But anyway, I don't want to turn this into a
Yeah, yeah,
dissertation on
no
large
worries.
firms.
Let's
So,
see
so
what we
basically,
got here.
yeah, so let's talk about the 10 principles. So one, technology is obviously really important in today's world if you're going to be a modern lawyer. And, we don't have robot lawyers yet exactly, but they're coming in one sense, and that is in the software sense. There are already algorithms, which we can call robot lawyers, that do things super efficiently using artificial intelligence. And here you see large firm Baker Hostetler is using this robot lawyer to help with bankruptcy cases. This was an article
Cool.
in May of 2016. So, we used to laugh at this kind of stuff, but now it's actually starting to happen. And we read about the chatbot lawyer that the guy, I think in London, created, a young kid who was like 19 years old,
Yeah.
to use artificial intelligence to help process parking fines. So, this we used to laugh at this stuff and say, yeah, sure, that'll happen one day, but now it's happening. And, the
Right.
big money maker for most lawyers in small firms is how do you get new clients?
Yeah.
And you need to pay attention to the fact that clients are increasingly looking for lawyers via the internet, or if they're not starting their search on the internet, they're still doing research to confirm what they already know or to vet the lawyers that they have winnowed down their search to. So the internet's way more important. So in 2014, this was the breakdown. In 2016, according to Google, which tracks this kind of stuff, 63% of people looking for legal services use a Google search, and
Wow.
37% do something else. So, you need to be online, I guess, is part of the equation. Um, so that means, being in a small firm means you have dangers, but you have opportunity, and you need to figure out how to leverage the opportunities. And when you're trying to leverage technology, which can be challenging, you need to accept the fact that everybody in law now needs to learn how to leverage technology. I mean, you own computers, you're using email, your clients are on the web. You just can't ignore technology and say, no, I'm just going to type all my stuff with typewriters and carbon paper and go back to the old days. It's not an
Yeah.
option, right?
Yeah.
So the key to all this to me is, and this I can't repeat this enough times, the key to all this is you have to be aware that when you're dealing with technology, there are always trade-offs. Now, when you're dealing with life, there are always trade-offs. So trade-offs are everywhere. If you do one thing, you can't do something else. Or if you do this, and you could do something else, the one thing does it better in one way and the other does it better in another way. So you have to assess trade-offs. And I like to start this conversation with people outside of, complicated technology and give you a simple analogy that I think people can relate to that's not hard to understand, which is like, let's say, you're worried about your bike getting stolen. You buy a new bike, and as you say to your friend who's super knowledgeable about bikes because, he races and he's, competed in the Tour de France or something like that, and you say, I got this new bike, I'm worried about it being stolen. He goes, oh, great, yeah, I got a lot of advice for you. So what I'm about to say relates to this idea that when you're trying to figure out how to assess the trade-offs, you don't know how these trade-offs work because you're not super versed in technology. And you say, well, I'm just going to rely on my friend who's super versed in technology. And my recommendation would be you not rely on your friends who just because they're super versed in technology, but rather you find trustworthy guides who are usually tech consultants of some sort, and preferably one who is working with lots of lawyers like you, because they're going to understand the trade-offs not just in a hyper-technical way, but they're going to understand them with the empathetic viewpoint of somebody in your position because they work with people in your position all the time. So here's what happens if you rely on your super smart friend. with the bike theft thing, he's going to say, oh, yeah, here, what's the best bike lock? He's going to say, get the U-lock, because that's the one he uses, and it's super hard to break through, and he's not going to like the cable lock and the other ones because he doesn't use that. But you, let's say, maybe use, you want to lock up two bikes because you and your significant other or kids or something want to ride your bikes together, and the U-lock isn't going to lock two bikes at one time. The cable lock is a necessity, but he doesn't think that way because he thinks the way he thinks. So you need to think about the trade-offs as best you can from your position, but then when you find people to help guide you, you need to understand, do they have a bias? Do they have a blind spot? And I'm just telling you, your tech savvy friend, and I used to be that tech savvy friend who gave bad advice because I just thought, oh, well, this is what I use. This is what you should use. And that's not what you want. You want somebody who thinks about your position and can help you and be empathetic to your position. So that's really important. Being systematic when you deal with technology is important because if you're going to automate, automation isn't by necessity systematic. But if you go, oh yeah, I'm just going to grab that tool and automate it, it's going to look ugly because if you're not systematic about it, you're just automating chaos. So before you even get into it, you need to have the mindset of a system building, mindset. So it's like, if I do this, then I'm going to need to do this. And if I do that, then I'm going to need to do this. And lawyers are very systematic. We just don't stop to think about, let's write it all out. Well, we do. But we are inherently systematic. You sort of have to be. But we're not good at is being disciplined about writing the steps down. Like when I went to work at the big firm, they would say, hey, go find a case or go do this. And I'd say, well, can you give me some background on what kind of cases I'm likely to find? They wouldn't tell you because they were busy lawyers, and so you had to figure it out. But it's not a good idea to take people that are new or people that are not sufficiently trained and just tell them to figure it out. That's not systematic. You want to say, okay, let me think through how did it work for me, and then try to describe the steps. And so if you want to learn about how to create systems, there's lots of books out there. This is one that has a lot of great reviews on Amazon. If it's not specific to lawyers, but it's helpful. And what I would do if I got it, and I have gotten it, and so I'm going to tell you how to make it even easier, is skip over the first part of the book where he tells you about his struggles in life, because every self-help book always has to describe for you how the person had the problem and then how they solved it, to make it relevant and lots of other reasons. But, his story is not as interesting to lawyers. Skip over that. Just read about how he develops the systems. But if you want to read a lawyer-specific one, I would get John Fisher's book. You can see here that, if you get the hardcover on Amazon, it's like $294. In reality, if you were to email him, he would send it to you for free, the hardcover, because he's using it as a lead generation thing. But this Kindle app, you can get that one right away for $19. But this is a personal injury lawyer describing a system.
$300 book. What is that? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's not. He's creating. It's the Trump effect. My brand is expensive, and it's clever and that's smart. But he will send it to you for free. He's a really nice guy, and a lot of lawyers who I've talked to have said, "Well, but that's great for personal injury lawyers." Look, let me tell you something. It's 80% of it is relevant to lawyers in any kind of practice whatsoever. And what's interesting about the book that I think lawyers should look at is the book fulfills several functions. One is the marketing thing, but mostly for him, it is actually the system that when he hires a virtual assistant, and he only has one full-time person that works for him, otherwise he outsources everything or hires virtual lawyers, he gives them this book and says, here's my system. Read it and don't ask me any questions because everything you need to know is in this book. So it's a really smart book, and I think it's really worthwhile for every lawyer to look at it and see this is a guy who built these systems over many years, put it in a book, anybody can get it and study it and basically see a blueprint of how he did it in his practice. And I think even if he were actually selling it for $294, I would think it would be worth that. So
worth it, right?
Yeah, so that's systematization. Now let's
talk about systems. Just to clarify, you're talking about like processes, procedures, step by step on how to build your own successful law practice.
Well, systems for anything, systems for like, how do you go deposit checks? I mean, really, systematic lawyers have systems for everything, and they've written it down because they are envisioning that they might have to, hire a new person for that role that they used to have in that role because that person left or got fired or got hit by a truck or whatever. And instead of them having to take time to train the person every time or tell them go figure it out, in which case there's going to be a lot of chaos, write
Right.
down the process and say, here, go look at it. And when I went to clerk for a federal judge for 2 years out of law school, he was very systematic. He had a book which he called the Bible. That book had an explanation of how to do everything, like how often to water the plants, for example, which sounds like really OCD, but he never,
Yeah.
he didn't come out and say, hey, welcome to the section H. Let me tell you how you do your job. He's like, here, see this stack of paper over here? Because it wasn't an actual book. It was like a printout. He said, read this, and if something's not in there that should be in there, figure out how to do it and get the word processing file and update it. So, that's what you want to do. You want to describe it and then tell whoever's doing it to update the system so that the next person who comes along can do it. So that's what I mean
Right.
by being
Okay.
systematic.
So basically, always improving. And so when your firm eventually does grow and you hire more people, you don't need to explain every single step to each person. Just here, read the Word documents. You'll learn how to do everything basically.
Yep, exactly.
Got it.
And then when you're systematic, you're ready to start automating because, to take advantage of automation, you have to go about it in a systematic way. And so to leverage it, you want to think about the different things you do. And so there's a really great podcast on Lawyerist. It's episode 47 with Baron Henley. And I recommend you listen to that one because one of the things that lawyers do a lot is create documents, memos, briefs, letters to the client, bills, whatever, lots of different kinds of documents. Whether you're in a small firm, big firm, lawyers create documents. And so what Baron talked about in this webinar, or sorry, this podcast, was how do you go about automating the creation of documents? And step one, if you want to be systematic, is you sit down and think about, well, which ones are we going to automate first? And so he's got this matrix he describes, which I have, created a graphic to illustrate, which he said, on one hand, you want to look at how often you create documents, different kinds, and then how hard it is to create those documents. And any document that's in the upper right of this matrix, namely hard to create and you create it often, that's where you want to start automating. And then, you move to, well, you don't create it that often, but it's hard, or you create it often and it's hard. I'm sorry, it's you create it often, but it's not that hard. Either one of those would be the next stage. And then, if it's easy and you rarely create it, like emails or like one-off letters, you can't really automate those, he said. But I would say you kind of can automate those in the sense that you don't want to be typing them. So I would recommend that folks look at Dragon software, which is dictation software. On the Windows side, it's super inexpensive. I think it's like $59. You can go to Amazon and check it out. And on the Mac side, it's $199. But if you get it when it first comes out or when they first upgrade it, it's $99. I think Dragon for Mac is now, it might still be in the $99 phase because they just upgraded it to 6. So you might be able to buy it for a limited time for 99 bucks. But whichever one it is, the process is the same. Basically, you get the software, you install it. There's not really any training much anymore, and you're up and running right away. And the trade-off, the challenge, is that you have to learn how to command this tool by giving voice commands as opposed to typing. You can type some stuff if you want to, but the idea is you just sit down, you blast out text, and you do it really quickly. And so I recommend that what lawyers do is get a copy of this, especially on Windows. On Windows, it's like mind-blowingly amazing, but they're both really good. And then to get up to speed quickly, I would confine yourself to one kind of document and train yourself with that. And the kind of document that most lawyers have that are annoying is emails. You have a lot of emails, I'm sure. And of course, you try to knock them out on your smartphone. But if you're sitting at your office and you have emails where you need to give a thoughtful response and not appear hurried, yes, you can type, but there's a cognitive load to typing, even if you can type super fast, which disappears when you can just blurt out the words that you want to say,
Right.
and you might go back and edit them, quickly, but the ability to get through email that requires some, discussion is amazing, right? So like I hate typing. I hate typing emails because I just feel like I know what I need to say. I just need to say this thing and get it out of there. Well, now with Dragon, I just blurt it out and hit send. I might edit it a little bit, but it doesn't. I feel no frustration of having to type. I just say what I need to say. But the cool thing about doing it only with email at first when you're learning it is you're going to learn it in a very confined environment that's going to make it easy for you to learn the common commands for certain things like bold that or capitalize this word or whatever. So, getting up to speed with it is easier if you just confine yourself to do an email. And once you got email down, you'll know how to use it for everything else.
So Dragon you could use for everything, not just Word documents. You could use it for email or pretty much type anything on the computer at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Anywhere you need to type, text, it can type text for you.
And how much editing are you doing? 'Cause a lot of times I use Siri a lot of times to dictate emails as well on the go, and I notice that I have a lot of mistakes, a lot of editing to do. Is it the same like Siri, or it's better than Apple's version?
I don't really do that much editing. I don't have to. And I will be honest, like there are certain times when, for certain types of writing, I prefer to type. If I'm writing a blog post, I'm not trying to crank it out really quickly. I'm trying to think of the best way to
Right.
say something. And in those instances, I type. And because speed is not helpful to me, it's more the thoughtfulness that goes into it. And sometimes for a brief, or certain passages in a brief, that might be what you want to do too. But once you have this ability, it's like, Superman could fly, but he didn't fly everywhere. Sometimes he walked. So, sometimes you're going to use your basic, non-Superman power to do what you need to do because that's just, what's called for. It's not like you're going to always use this, but once you know how to use it, you're going to always know how to use it when it's called for. So that's
Got
really
it.
the takeaway here.
Got it.
All right, so the next step is, you want to be paperless because, as I mentioned earlier, you can automate things more easily when it's digital. There's a lot to be said about how to become paperless. I have a whole website devoted to this. So really what I would tell you to do is go to paperlesschase.com, click on the link that says, get our 5 keys to creating a paperless law office, and I will send you a one-page PDF download because I don't want to overwhelm you. And it'll say, here are 5 things you can do that'll get you started, which scanner is the best one to get, you know, so just 5 tips, and then I'll follow it up with 10 emails that come one a day that walk you through some other processes, and that's how you learn to be paperless. It's all free. I walk you through it. If I were doing this as a separate talk, it's a whole hour-long talk, and even then, I still tell people go click on this link and do this because I know that you need to get this information in small bite-sized chunks so you don't get overwhelmed. So um, you need to become paperless. You don't have to do it overnight. There's a process, and I explain it.
Awesome.
And then when you're paperless, you will have your documents stored locally on your computer in your office. But wouldn't it be cool if you could access those documents from anywhere, anytime, from any kind of device, no matter where you are in the world? And the answer is you can if you make those documents available by taking advantage of cloud storage. So the time has passed for lawyers to go, I don't understand the cloud, it's horrible, somebody could steal my data, things could go wrong. Yes, things can go wrong in the cloud because they can go wrong anywhere on planet Earth. People can steal your papers, they can blow up, hurricanes can come. You just need to learn how to secure your data in the cloud. And all of the stuff that lawyers wonder about, rather than me go through this in a tedious fashion, because this again is a whole hour-long talk, if you go to paperlesschase.com and click on the link that says Cloud Storage for Lawyers Demystified, there's a whole blog post about this, including a YouTube video put on by Google where they explain how they do security. And after you watch it, you'll understand that your data in Google's hands is way more secure than your data in your hands, as long as you're not foolish and give away your password to a hacker and let them get into your data. But there's steps for that. We'll talk about that later in the security section. But your data in Google's hands, they won't lose it accidentally. Let's put it that way. They know how to do backup, and they know how to secure things. So security is important. The thing about security is it's not hackers are good at technology and they're good at automation, but the real weak link with security is human psychology. And humans do certain things in very predictable ways. And so we're going to talk about psychology. That's a picture of Sigmund Freud, one of the great pantheon founders of technology. Of psychology. And so here's how a basic hacker thing happens. Like, hacker will send to a lawyer an email. Okay, so it'll say something like, "I can't believe this picture of you," and then it'll have text in it that says, "This is ridiculous and you should be ashamed." So if you go click that link right away because it came into your inbox and you think, "Oh my God, this is a picture of me out there," and you click on that link, as soon as you've clicked on that link, game over. Okay? Why do we have access to Hillary Clinton's emails? Because her campaign manager did exactly this. Something came to him and said, "Oh my God," and he said, he clicked on it, game over, access to all of his information. It installs a keylogger program. They're now monitoring every key you type, so every password you type in anywhere, they're tracking it. And they're going to get everything you own everywhere if you click on this link. And you say, and another way that they do it is they'll say, "Oh, they shared a PDF file." There's lots of different ploys that they use. They could say something like, "My God, I can't believe that Donald Trump would do this." And if it comes out around now, you're going to go, "What did he do next?" You click on the link. So you have to train yourself not to click on links that have surprising, shocking information, especially if there's very little text. If it does, if you're going to send one of these things to your friends, say, "Hey, Donald Trump did some," if he really did something horrible, say, "Donald Trump did something really horrible. I read about it here." Type out more stuff, because if your friend's trained not to click on the link, they're not going to click on it. So you say, "Well, oh, but the email came from my friend, why can't I trust an email from my friend?" And the answer is because your friend's computer got hacked. And then the hacker goes into the contact list and sends emails out to all the people in the contact list with this ploy, and he's going to get access to everybody. This is how they do it. Okay, this is the number one way. There are other ways, but this is the number one way. It's the rock solid. You can always count on humans to click on links with provocative stuff. So don't do that. And the other thing is, don't have a password that's super easy to guess, because then they don't even have to go through this trouble. They just go, "Oh, okay, let's see. Let's try to guess what the person's password is." And they're going to start with the 25 most common passwords. Every year there's a list, and these same things are always in there. Some things move up, some things move down, but password is always up there at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is always up there at the top. And they learn this because when a hack occurs, and then whoever, Adobe or whoever got hacked, has to say, "Okay, well, here are the passwords that they got," they can see, like, what are people using? And people are using really easy to guess passwords. And so hackers have programs that run through these things, plus some other things, common words in the dictionary, and they quickly guess passwords. So you can either can get into it, by you clicking on a link, or they don't even need that if you use a stupid password. So don't use a stupid password. Definitely don't use password. Don't use any of these other ones either. So what you want to do is use a really strong password. So a strong password is one that has uppercase, lowercase letters, has symbols, it has numbers, and those are impossible to guess. The NSA computer, it would take it 100 years to guess this, repeatedly guessing. So you want to use a strong password. Or you can use a passphrase if you want to make your life easier, which is you use words that you know with spaces between them, because passwords can contain spaces, and you can use uppercase, lowercase if you need to. And so these kind of passphrases are also incredibly difficult to guess or to brute force attack guess, but they're easy for you to remember. Now, the problem is you don't want to use that one password for all your accounts, because what happens, and this is not a hypothetical, this is like it's going to happen. One of your accounts gets hacked by hackers. They break into the Chase, or Adobe is infamous for this. LinkedIn had an attack. And so if a hacker says, "We have this person's email address, and we have this password. Let's go see if they use it across all of their important accounts. And of course, most people do. And especially important not to do this with your email accounts, because what happens when you can't log into Chase because you can't remember? They say, well, we'll set a password reset. Where are they going to send it? To your email address. So protecting your email account, this is Fort Knox. You must protect your email account above all things. So that means having different passwords for all these different accounts, and then you say, oh, Ernie, that's really great advice, but that seems like a lot of work. Yes, it would be if you did it all manually, but we're going to automate this. And so use a password manager. There are several of them out there you could use, but LastPass is one that I usually recommend if you want to spend the least amount of money. It's $12 a year. It works across all your devices. It does everything that all the other ones do. You can store your credit cards in there, your addresses. It'll generate passwords for you that are hard to guess. And of course, so how do you get into this? You use it by logging in with a password. And guess what you don't want to do with the one password you use to log into this, right? You don't want it to be password or 123456. Make it a passphrase, because that's easy to remember. And then you're logging into that one really easy, and then the rest of them can be gobbledygook or whatever, because you don't care. You're never going to try to remember them. You don't have to remember them. So right there, I think this is the security you need to know. And if you know this, every time you see some account of some hacker did something, odds are 80% of the time it's going to be an attack just like the one I described, and it's going to involve psychology. So don't click on links that come from people you know or don't know that have a short bit of text that have some provocative thing that gets you excited. And train your staff not to do that either.
Right, and we also use a lot of us as practice handlers use LastPass as well. It's amazing. They help you generate 25-character passwords that auto saves and auto logs you in and auto remembers, and it's amazing. So for all of us, we have multiple passwords for every single different website we go to, which is very important. And one thing I don't know if we touched here is you're not going to touch on two-factor authentication, are you?
I don't have that in there, but I'll describe it briefly. It's kind of, you need a lot of, I think it's best if I had slides to demonstrate it, but here's conceptually how it works. Okay, so let's consider the problem that it solves. Let's say that a hacker gets your password. They actually get your real password, and before you can go in and change it, you do the best thing humanly possible, but it's going to take you time. They have your password, and they're going to log into your email account. So what's going to happen is they're going to be logging in from Russia or China or wherever the hell they are, which is going to be an IP address, meaning a special address that the system keeps track of. It says, oh, well, Ernie used to log in from this IP address that was the one at his house. Now we're seeing for the first time a login from a computer that was not that trusted address. Well, here's what we're going to do now. We're going to make Ernie, or whoever is pretending to be Ernie, tell us that it's really Ernie. How are we going to do this? Well, we know Ernie has one thing probably with him at all times. That's his cell phone. And so when you enable two-factor authentication, what you do is you say to Google, let's say you're doing it in Google, and you're saying, Google, I want to enable two-factor authentication. Google's going to say, what's your cell phone number? And it's going to say, and you put it in, and it's going to send you a text message immediately with 6 characters and say, enter these 6 characters now so that we'll know that you, in fact, are in possession of that cell phone. You enter it, it goes, oh, okay, good. You are in possession of that cell phone. That is your cell phone. You probably will have it with you at all times. And so from now on, whenever a login is happening from a new IP address, it's going to send a text message to that cell phone and say, here's your code. And it's going to sit there, and it's not going to let the person log in until they enter that code number. So even if a hacker had your password, they can't log in because they don't have your cell phone. So two-factor authentication is super secure, and you should enable it on every financial account, every email account, everything that matters to you, because even if the hacker had your password, they're not going to be able to get in unless they have that code. So
right. Well, a lot of people don't know that every single website has the ability for this, like Gmail, Chase, Bank of America, even Practice Panther. You can enable two-factor authentication, but a lot of people don't even know about it or do it. All they have to do is just pretty much Google how to do it, I'll find it's a very simple step everywhere from what I've seen.
Yeah, and it is a little annoying. Let's be clear. Security is annoying, right? But again, it's a trade-off. Do you want a little annoyance on a regular basis, or do you want your entire bank account siphoned off? Do you want the risk of that, So
Yeah,
my rule of thumb is if your security practices aren't mildly annoying on a regular basis, you don't have good security practices. That's
yeah,
how you know.
I
If you're
agree.
not being annoyed on a regular basis, then you're sitting duck.
Yeah, I agree.
So, well, let's talk about marketing because this is important for two reasons. One, because it'll help you get better clients, make more money with less effort because you can automate this, and also because even though the accreditation authorities and so forth say, well, we shouldn't give CLE for marketing. There's an ethics component to this, which they will give you credit for, and it's when you tell people how to avoid being unprofessional and undignified. I'm about to tell you how to do both of those things at the same time. So here's the deal. You need to go out and meet people. You're in a small firm. You can't outsource this to other people. You have to meet people in actual real world space and network to get clients. That's part of the job, right? That's how we've marketed and got new clients um, from day one, from Abraham Lincoln's day. Networking and face to face is still important. I'm not saying you can automate everything and just stop meeting people in space and just become a hermit inside your house. That's not going to work. But you can automate aspects of even that part of it. So here's how it works. You want a website because whether people are looking for you or looking for a kind of lawyer that you fit the bill of, and they wind up on your website, or whether they saw you speak at an event, read an article you wrote, your name was mentioned to them by somebody that they trust. However it works, we saw that graphic earlier, over 60% of them, and probably increasing every year, are going to go check you out. Where are they going to check you out? Online. They're going to type your name in, type in your city, type in whatever they need to type in to see if you have a website. If you don't have a website, they might find your Avo page or other things. So you should have a website so that they find that because you want to control your message for those kind of people. So a website is a profit producer in essence because it lets you reach the entire world, lets you establish your expertise. You can target the ideal clients you want. You can get them interested in you, prompt them to email you, and do this all automatically while you're doing other things, 24/7. And if you want to know how this works, again, it's like with the paperless thing. There's a lot here to explain, and I would rather do it over time and not overwhelm you. So if you go to this link, and I'll tell you how to get all this stuff afterwards. But if you want to write down the link, you have to make the uppercase proper. So the D has to be uppercase and the W has to be uppercase. If you go to that link, you'll sign up, and I'll give you all this information dripped out in emails over time with links. It's all free. You learn how to do it. But basically, the system that you want to use is called direct marketing. Direct marketing is the kind of marketing that's tasteful. It's not annoying. It's not interruptive. And it helps you find and then helps those people find you who are your ideal clients. So you want to spend zero time screening out unsatisfactory clients. You want only the best clients to say, oh, gee, you're the lawyer for me, and then contact you. Now, it is true that in some practice areas this is easier to do than others, but it doesn't matter how hard it is, to set it up. Once you set it up, it's automated. And trust me, no matter how hard it is, it's worth it because this system will work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And the best book to learn the principles for this, I think, is this book called The No BS Guide to Direct Marketing by Dan Kennedy. And I know you and I, David, have talked about Dan Kennedy and what an amazing guy is, so you can chime in and tell folks what you think about Dan Kennedy.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe 2 months ago you introduced me to him and told me to buy this book, and I did. I read it, and it's incredible. This book I love the most because a lot of attorneys get a lot of their business from just referrals, word of mouth. They're not doing any direct marketing. They're not doing any promotional materials, any ads online. A lot of times whenever we ask an attorney when they're signing up to our software, where do you get most of your leads from? How do you track them? How do you track the revenue, the ROI? They don't. They just pretty much do word of mouth. So Dan Kennedy is pretty much telling everyone to go out there, try something new, but hold yourself accountable. If you're spending money on a magazine ad or a Google ad, you want to track the results. You want to track the revenue you're generating from them. So make sure you do all that. I love Dan Kennedy. I think he's amazing.
Yeah, and he's been doing marketing since way before there was the internet. He didn't even like the internet, but
Yep.
he understands these principles and he's systematic about it and he understands what doesn't work and he doesn't pull any punches in attacking the types of advertising that don't work and he dismisses brand building because that's just a waste of money, you know. And so he tells you the things that work and tells you in a really clear way. He's a great writer. He's funny. He's sarcastic as hell. So I
Yep.
recommend that. And like I said, if you want to go to the website paperless.com, and actually I don't think I have this link up here anymore that says how to create a website for 500 or less. But um, you know, if you email me, I'll be happy to send you that campaign as well. All right.
Cool.
So you've automated as much as possible. You're automating your marketing. You know, you get your practice going to where, like you're like John Fisher, you have maybe one full-time assistant or however many full-time assistants you need. You want to leverage the power of being able to hire people who are super expert at a given skill, people who can work for you part-time if you need to, people who can work for you between the hours of 6 o'clock at night and 6 in the morning if you need them to, because they live in a part of the world where that's daylight for them. You know, the
Yep.
power of outsourcing is huge. Now, it's not where you start. It's where you get to once you understand how to be systematic, where you understand how to be in the cloud, you're secure, you got all that stuff down. But you can get started quickly, even tomorrow, with some things like if you have a receptionist who answers the phone and does other things, I would say free that person up to do other things because first off, they're not going to be as good at just answering the phone as a service like Ruby Receptionist is. I can't say enough good things about Ruby Receptionist. You know,
Yeah, me too.
they solve so many problems. They underpromise, overdeliver. They make you look super good. People will think that this receptionist works for you full time. It can be kind of expensive. I think it's $250 a month for 100 minutes of their time. It's not after the calls pass through how long you talk on the call after that. It's just how many minutes the receptionist is engaged in. But it actually winds up being a lot less minutes that they are being used than you think because what most people do, at least this is how it works for most people, most lawyers, once the client is good, they know you, they will leave messages happily or you give them their cell phone number if you want to do that. But it's really for the client who calls for the first time, that's checked you out on the website. You don't want that person to think you answer your phone all the time. So number one, you don't want to be answering your phone. Number two, if the phone's being answered, you want it to be answered by somebody who sounds very pleasant and is always pleasant and cheerful because they've trained to be cheerful and pleasant. And they know what to do. And they know if you're in a meeting, all the stuff that Ruby does is super amazing. You can try them for free for, I think, 14 or 21 days. They have a sign-up fee. If you click on this link or use this sign-up thing, I have an affiliate arrangement with them where they knock off $75 or do something. I don't know what, but use it or don't use it, but they'll give you $75 off. So I would get an affiliate link from somebody if you want to try it and save yourself a little money. That's one kind of virtual assistant.
And just to add as well, we see Ruby everywhere. A lot of attorneys we speak to use Ruby. I can't say enough good things about them as well. It's like you're always present. You always have a secretary. You're always answering the phone. People love it. And it's a fraction of the cost, like they say, of actually hiring a full-time assistant in the actual office or secretary. Just to add, we're doing a webinar with Ruby. I think it's the next one in the series on Friday, November 11th in 2 weeks. So
Cool.
they'll be giving some tips and stuff like that.
Great. Yep. So Ruby's great. And then another easy one to kind of dip your toes into the shallow end of the pool is a service called Fiverr.com. And there's a lot of stuff in here that's just goofy that you don't care about. But you can get people to design a business card. You can get people to put up a WordPress site. And the idea here is everything costs $5 for some kind of really basic thing that somebody would do. But then if you want the additional features or rapid service or something, you can pay a little bit more. But why this is good is because there's no risk that you're going to miscommunicate about what's supposed to be done. So, because one of the tricks with a virtual assistant is you have to get good at being very clear about what you want done, what the deliverable is, how much time they need to spend. But this system kind of takes all that out because it's so low cost. They're just going to say, this is what I'll do for $5. And you either say, yes, I want it, or no, I don't, and you click the button and you get it. So it kind of starts to train you what it's like to get stuff done by other humans on planet Earth that are virtual assistants, but doing it in a way that's low cost, low risk, but can have some serious value if you find the right little, they call them gigs, whatever gig you want them to do. So Fiverr's great, and then Fancy Hands is a step up from that. And here's where you pay $20 a month, and they'll do 5 tasks for you per month. And the first month, if you connect it to the services and tweet out on social media, or I don't know, they give you some different incentives. They will give you an additional 10 tasks for that month, and that's great because the first month you're gonna wonder what you should do, and you don't want to feel like, oh, I don't want to use up my 5 tasks except for something super important. Just use the tasks, get used to it. The kind of stuff I've used them for is I'm doing research for a blog post. I ask them to do that, or ask them to, book or buy flowers for somebody, or find the best place to eat in a city. They'll do research stuff they're really great at. They can charge, we're going to charge your credit card, but they will charge the credit card they have on account for you to charge for your services up to I think $125 if you want them to buy flowers or buy stuff. They will ask you to approve it before they purchase it. If you connect their service to your Google email account, they can set up a calendar appointment so you can forward an email from somebody that says, yeah, let's get together on this date, and you just forward it to them. And you don't even have to tell them what to do. They read it and see, oh, this is about a calendar appointment. I'll just put that in Ernie's calendar. So if you think of it, it's like basically $5 per task, but you're committed to paying $20 a month. No, sorry, $25 a month, and you get 5 tasks for free. Very cool. You can check it out. You don't like it, stop paying for it, but you'll get a taste of what virtual assistance is like. Then once
cool.
you got
that's you're like a personal assistant basically. $25 a month, you get 5 tasks, 5 free, and you can tell them, if I'm correct, just to clarify, buy my wife flowers and spend up to $100, and they'll buy it for you and do everything for you.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay, I'll try that.
Yep. And then the last stage, and this is where you get to the highest level, where you have to hire somebody and you have to negotiate independently and you have to find them and you have to work out how long they're going to work for you. It might be on a continuing, ongoing basis, or it might be one big project, or it might be several different kind of people. There's a site called Upwork, which is an amalgamation of 2 sites, one that used to be called Elance and one that used to be called Odesk. And so this is kind of like, this is it. There's one place now. There might be others, but this is the eBay of hiring virtual assistants. And I have hired virtual assistants through this place to set up my websites, to help me with various technical problems, anything that's work that can be done remotely, like design work, create a business card, design your website, whatever you need done. If it can be done remotely by a human, you could probably find somebody on Upwork to do it. Now the challenge is you're going to have to vet the person and figure out who the best person is, and there's a challenge there, and you have to describe for that person how to do the job, and you can't just say go figure it out. So there's a challenge to it, but if you're good at describing how to do things to the people that work for you now, then Upwork won't be such a challenge. But if you're not good at that, then I would recommend you go through those other phases first and get comfortable with assigning work to somebody remotely. But the power here is off the charts. So that's
and just to add as well, my 2 cents on Upwork. It's not that bad. You basically have to just filter people based on expertise and reviews. It's all about the review system on Upwork, from what I've noticed. So you find someone you trust, you speak to them a little bit, and then if you're happy with what they can offer you, they'll give you a bid, and then you can hire them. I mean, I know that we've used Upwork in the past, so it's very powerful. I definitely agree as well.
Yeah. And then the last, phase of all this is that you have to be keeping up with training because things are always changing in the tech world, and you want to know how to connect the dots as quickly as possible and not have to fumble around and experiment on your own. You want to get guidance from people who are doing it that you can trust. So some of the ways you can do this are listening to podcasts. I'm a huge fan of podcasts. There's a lot of them out there, but a couple that I recommend for lawyers are the Lawyerist podcast. Sam Glover is a great interviewer. It's really great for small firms. And then in the Legal Talk Network, there's like 16 different ones that you can pick around and see which one you're interested in. There's one for security. There's one for new tips. There's one for mobile devices. Whatever you want, it's in there in the Legal Talk Network. Great stuff there. There's a new podcast out called The Law Entrepreneur with Neil Tyra. He's a Mac user, but it's not Mac-centric. But he's a very good interviewer, and it's more about the practice management side, the everyday running of a law practice, and he is running a law practice, so he's really good at getting guests to talk about things in ways that are relatable to lawyers and small firms. And then another new podcast is called Building New Law. It's a Canadian legal podcast. They actually got Seth Godin on there. It's just getting going, so there's not too many podcasts. But yeah, Seth Godin is great. Yeah. So I would check that one out as well. And then besides podcasts, you can take online courses with Udemy or lynda.com, which got acquired by LinkedIn, which then got acquired by Microsoft. So online education is a huge thing. I had an online course that I released to folks, which I'm going to release again in the future, that kind of covers all the stuff in more detail. So, online courses are a really powerful way to learn all this stuff online. But, basically what you want to do is learn how to use, your tool, right? Keep the tools simple, learn how to use them, digitize, automate, outsource, and I'm happy to help any of you all on this journey because I know what it was like to go from the world of tedious, frustrating paper to the world of easy, paperless automation. So if you want more information about all this stuff, if you text the word ModFirm, all caps, no spaces, to number 33444, you can sign up really easily and quickly, and I will send you a bunch more free information that follows up on what we covered here today. So with that, I'll say thank you very much.
Wow, Ernie, thank you so much. Amazing, amazing information. For everyone listening as well, this webinar is recorded, so we will email it to everyone at the end very shortly. Now, Ernie, a lot of people don't know what you do full-time, so if you can just tell everyone a little bit about yourself, how you help attorneys worldwide. I know that you have two companies, Paperless Chase and Small Firm Bootcamp, correct?
Yeah, but I mean, really, the explanation is I try to help lawyers connect the dots more quickly, and I do as much as I can for free because I know, you need to get this information, and I automated it so it doesn't cost me anything to send most of it out. And so if you text ModFirm 33444, you'll start to see how I've automated the process of educating people about what I do and about what they can do, and that's the process that Dan Kennedy recommends you use to nurture clients and prospective clients. And so you'll basically be getting training, or you'll see how that plays out, and then I will describe for you how you could take advantage of it as well. So that's it. Pretty simple, pretty basic, easy to do.
Awesome. Do you have some time for questions? Or we have to
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, cool. All right, so the first question that came in by email is, for Dragon dictating software, do you recommend a specific microphone for the computer?
There's not one that's necessarily better than the others. Again, it's trade-offs. What features does it have that you would want? There's a site called wirecutter.com, which in the past week got acquired by the New York Times because it was so good at picking out the best thing in whatever category. And so if you go to wirecutter.com and look for best USB mic, whatever that mic is, read the features. They have wonderful, comprehensive reviews, and then, bookmark that because you can use it for other things. But that would be how I would find the best USB mic, because whatever that mic is, it'll be best for Dragon, but it'll also be good if you ever want to use Skype and make phone calls
Right.
or do other things with the USB mic. So that would be my recommendation.
Got it. Yeah, just to add as well, I know that we purchased, I think it's called a Blue Snowball mic. Very, very good, powerful mic that we use for webinars and training videos and everything. So that might be a good one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Next question comes in from John. What scanner do you recommend for going paperless?
Oh, this is the easy one. The Fujitsu ScanSnap IX500. It costs $420 roughly on Amazon. If you go to the paperlesschase.com website and look, there's a thing that says best law firm or best scanner for small law firm, and you click on that link. There's a comprehensive explanation of why that's the best, why the other ones that some people think might be equivalent is not in fact equivalent. And rather than bore everybody, just go to paperlesschase.com, find the sidebar, click on that link, read everything there, and then if you want to buy it on Amazon, you can click the link there and go buy it on Amazon. And then read the reviews on Amazon. The reviews, trust me, everyone who has the scanner will bend your ear for like 15 minutes about how amazing it is. So it's the only scanner you should get.
You could do multiple pages. You could drop in 30 pages at
Yep.
once.
Yep. It does two sides at one time. It does letter, legal, color, black and white, makes mounds of coleslaw.
Awesome. And then the next question comes in from Patrick. Ernie, could you comment on voice-to-text software other than Dragon? So I guess looking for another software other than Dragon.
Yeah, like, so now I'm not a Windows user, so I don't know what Cortana does, but nowadays on the Mac side, Siri is starting to take this over, and so you can kind of start to predict that one day both Microsoft and Apple will basically embed and include for free in their operating system something that basically does everything that Dragon does. So they're starting to do that, and you can try it. In the latest operating system for the Mac, Siri is enabled, and I haven't played with it too much. I will say it's not as good as Dragon, so I'm not going to play with it too much more. I mean, it's good, but I have something that's better already, so I'm going to keep using the thing that's better. And you probably have the same experience with Cortana on the Windows side versus Dragon over there. So if you have it and it's free, start with that. That would be my recommendation.
A lot of questions pouring in now about Dragon. It's funny. So Thomas asked a very similar question. Do you know if Siri for Mac and the new Sierra operating system will work like Dragon, at least for email? So I guess you said that you're not really sure, but as Apple evolves, they will be releasing probably more and more features regarding Siri.
Yeah, and like some of the things it doesn't do. So for me, there's a lot of commands that you're going to learn you want to use. Like a word will appear and you go, oh, I wanted that to be capitalized. And you can with Dragon you say capitalize and you say the word. It'll just jump over and capitalize it. That's not going to happen in Siri. You can also say bold and describe the text and it'll bold it or underline it or whatever. And so there's a lot of things that you're doing with Dragon once you learn the commands where you couldn't move the mouse fast enough to make it, to make those changes. So it's not just typing speed, like we were talking about earlier before we got on, David, where you said, you're a pretty fast typist. It's like when you start to realize how you can manipulate text with Dragon, it's really powerful, but you have to know the commands, and they have to become second nature, and that takes time. But that's not going on in Siri, or I'm sure Cortana. So, if you're going to learn one of them, I would recommend, just pay the $69 or $60 on the Windows side, or the $99 or even the $200 on the Mac, because whatever it is, it's worth it. And then just commit to learning it. And I tell you how to learn it. Just do it with just email. And then it comes with a little printout. And actually, I'll tell you what I did. I'm looking at it right now. I have this one that says Dragon Commands, and in all caps, it says equals all caps. And then, so what I'm doing is I'm reminding myself, because I can never remember, what is title case? What is it where I want just the first word capitalized? What is it where I want all the words capitalized? I can't remember the commands yet. So I have it on a little thing sitting taped to the front of my computer. One day, I'll know that by heart. Then I can get rid of that one and put up another one that I need to learn. So trying to learn all the commands at once is not going to happen. Just learn the ones that are most important to you by taping a little cheat sheet onto your monitor, and learn that one. And once you got that one committed, then learn the next one.
Got it. Awesome. And for everyone listening still, there's still a lot of people here. You can actually use the GoToWebinar slide out bar to ask any questions you want to myself or Ernie. And Walden commented saying, yes, the Blue Yeti is next to Mike. And he also had a question for you, Ernie. Ernie, have you been able to find competent help through outsourcing for email marketing campaigns? So I'll just quickly answer that I personally have found help through outsourcing. Even on Upwork, I think we had someone design our email newsletter, not the content, just the design of it. So that's my answer, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Ernie?
Yeah, so two things. One about the Blue Yeti mic, I should have mentioned this. So one consideration, going back to trade-offs, is a microphone that sits physically on your desk, like the blue
Yeti.
the blue Yeti, the Yeti or the blue Snowball, whatever one, that one. Those sit on your desk. So that means it's going to take up space, and you might knock it over, and you might have to position your head to be close to it. The reason why the USB mic is really good is because the little mic part is sitting right next to your mouth at the same level all the time, and it's got a cord, so you can snake it under your desk or around your desk, and it's not taking up space on your desk. And if you turn to get something while you're talking to somebody on the phone, if you're using it for that purpose, it's going to still pick up your voice the same way. So that's just a consideration. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but those are the trade-offs, and factor that in. So that's the mic thing. As to email marketing, yes, I use people for every aspect of this, because here are the things you need to do with your marketing. One, you need a website. Okay, that's Upwork. I hired somebody to set up the website. Just put it up. That's one person. Then I said later on, oh, I want to design some stuff, tweak it. That's a different person. That same person who's a design person could do my business cards. Okay, do my business cards. That same person could also create a one-page handout that looks pretty in a PDF that's a good download, which, on your website you will say to whatever prospective client you have. You'll learn this from Dan Kennedy. You have to give somebody something of value for free in exchange for their email address, because they're not just going to give you their email address, like sign up for our newsletter. Please, that is the lamest thing in the world. Nobody's signing up for any newsletters without a clear understanding of why it matters, why it's useful, because they're already getting too much email, and it's coming from annoying people. But if you say, oh, I can send you my free guide on, 15 things to look for when you hire a lawyer who does X, which is what you do. And of course, all those 15 things will be things you do, but maybe some things that other people don't. So you say, get this. There's a curiosity factor. They go, yeah, I want to get that. But you want it to look nice. You don't want it to just be the Word document that you printed up and typed. You hire somebody on Upwork and say, look, could you make this look nice? Put my logo on it, put my colors, just make it look nice. Make it be a PDF. They'll do that for you. It might cost you like $40. Now you got a lead magnet. And then when they download it, it's going to go into your email account, which is whatever. Let's say it's Aweber, or I use Infusionsoft, which is more expensive but does more stuff. How do you send the emails out? How do you sequence those out? You could figure this out on your own if you want to. And if you're fairly tech savvy or even not that tech savvy, you can figure it out, but it's going to take you a lot of time. Why not just pay somebody to do it for you? Because they're going to know all the latest things to do. They're going to, not flip the switch that needs to be flipped. They're going to do it right the first time. And if you need it updated later on, you'll already have them in Upwork, and you can say, oh, yeah, I hired that person way back when. Let me hire him again. So every aspect of my marketing, other than the emails I write those myself. Everything else, outsourced through Upwork.
Got it. Awesome. And just to add to that as well, so you could actually find email marketing templates on a website called deanforrest.net, which has a bunch of stuff, not only email marketing templates. So for Walden, I just sent you that message back with the link. And Han asked a question, if you use Apple products, is the built-in speakers and microphones sufficient for Dragon?
Yeah, in the latest versions of Dragon, with my laptop, I can just speak into my laptop, and the little mic that's in the laptop will pick it up. The thing is, I have to put my head fairly close to where that is and maintain it there, so I look like a weirdo. If I were in the park, I would look very weird. But if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. So you can do it. I would recommend, if you're going to really try to get the most out of it, you invest in a USB mic.
Got it. And Joe brought up a question. Which Dragon version do you use specifically?
The version I use on the Mac, they just upgraded to 6. I upgraded to 6. It's pretty good. There's a lawyer named David Sparks who's got a website called Mac Sparky, and he is a big user of the Mac dictation software. So whenever he does a review and talks about how great it is, once he says it's okay, I plunge in and go after him. And he also has tips and tutorials, I think, about how to use it. He's got a great podcast. That's one of the podcasts I should have recommended for Mac users. It's called Mac Power Users. So his website's called Mac Sparky, but he's got a podcast he does with another lawyer in Florida named Katie Floyd, who's super smart and savvy, and they do this podcast about how to use your Mac. And it's not for lawyers, but since they are both lawyers, it's of value to any lawyer who's using a Mac. But it's a lot about software that they use and why they like it and what the problems are and stuff like that. So cool. Mac users, check out Mac Power Users podcast.
Awesome. And next question comes from email from Greg. I think we answered a little bit of it, but he wanted to know, Ernie, what are you outsourcing? So I know you said everything, but is there anything specifically that you really outsource all the time?
Yeah, I use Infusionsoft, and I have a guy who just does my Infusionsoft stuff for me full time. Actually, he and I are because Infusionsoft is expensive, but it does a lot of different things. And I guess I'll take this opportunity to say that we are going to collaborate together to make it easier for lawyers who want to use Infusionsoft but don't want to have to go through the trial by fire that Infusionsoft makes you go through, because Infusionsoft isn't built specifically for any one type of business. If you want to use Infusionsoft, and it costs $200 a month minimum, they will force you to go through a training which costs $1,500, because what they don't want to do is have people sign up for it and they get confused about how to use it. So they're basically saying, like, look, it's like if you're a pilot, they're not going to let you get in a plane without training you. We can trust you with a bicycle, but with a plane, you're going to have training. And that's how Infusionsoft is. And the problem with Infusionsoft that I found is it has great power, but really what anybody who's going to use it, like especially lawyers, are going to want is just like, hey, just create the campaigns for me that I'm going to need. And so Jason, my guy that I found through Upwork, and I just decided, why don't we create the basic campaigns that lawyers would probably want to use, namely the sequence of emails that goes out after they download your lead magnet, after they hire you, and then coming in for their first appointment, a sequence of emails that says, you're all booked, you're all set, and in the morning of the appointment, a reminder, here's where you park. And then when you finish doing a great job for them, send them a thing that says, here's a review, give us some feedback, let us know how we did. But while it's also feedback for you, it could be a testimonial if they say really glowing things about you. And then there's an automated thing that gets them to give you permission, or if they want to give permission, they can. And at the end of it, you'll have a testimonial, or at least you'll have feedback and you'll have permission. All of that's automated. All those campaigns are built in Infusionsoft, and Jason, because he's an Infusionsoft certified guy now, he can just drop that into your account, set it up for you. If you want to keep hiring him to do other stuff, you can. But I just think if you're going to use Infusionsoft, and obviously not many lawyers are going to want to spend $200 to do it per month, but I can tell you it's worth it. If you have a website and you're sophisticated about your marketing, you can use it to do other things besides just the email marketing. So that's what I use outsourcing for the most, is marketing, because there's a lot of elements to automating marketing, and I do not want to sit there and connect those dots, even though I can, and even though I have. It's frustrating. I'm not a detail person when it comes to that stuff. I forget to dot an I across a T, which in the world of technology means you forgot to put a comma, the whole thing crashes. So, and you know that because you're a developer, David.
Yeah.
So don't go down that path. Hire somebody to do it for you. That's really where I get the most value out of Upwork, is with the marketing.
Got it. And just to follow up on that question, Barry wrote in, you offer 5 tips and then 10 follow-up emails on your website. do you recommend attorneys do the same type of email drip campaign? Are you allowed to do it for prospects? So I guess
Yes.
client
Yes.
leads. And
Yes.
do you need their permission first?
Yes, and you get their permission because inherently, when you say, "I will send you this if you give me permission to send it to you by email," they're saying, "Well, yes, of course, I'm going to give you permission to send it to me by email." Now, the permission part of it, let me break this out. When lawyers start thinking about this, they think, "Oh, am I ethically allowed to do this?" Trust me, you're ethically allowed to do it in every state because you have permission. And once you have permission for one thing, you have permission for other things. Now, at this point, your problem isn't ethics. Your problem is the email service provider, even after you've gotten permission from them, if you annoy the hell out of people by sending them lots more emails, begging and pleading, and being the annoying, overzealous used car salesman person, then no, they will unsubscribe, or they'll click the link that says you're a spammer, even though you're not, because you got permission. So you don't want to do that. So the whole trick to direct marketing is, and this is why it's very intricate, and I can't explain it all in one fell swoop, and you need to get Dan Kennedy's book. And even then, I can explain to you how it applies to lawyers, but the point of it is you need to always be giving incredibly valuable information, and you need to be targeting your marketing to the most select person that you most want to work with, which is counterintuitive to most people. Like, but wait, I don't want to, not market to other people that might want to hire me, because until I get good enough at hiring, getting only the people they'll pay me the most amount of money that I most like working with, I need to take these other cases from it. Yes, I understand that. But here's what you don't understand, and you will understand very quickly once you start doing it, is when you're speaking only to the most select group, the other people are listening. They see this. And their attitude isn't, "Oh, you're not talking to me." Their attitude is, "Oh my God, you're incredibly selective." So they become even more inclined to want to hire you. But by speaking to the most select people, you're going to get all of those people as humanly possible, because it's like writing a love letter, right, to somebody. This is essentially this is the analogy I like now. If you write a love letter to somebody that you care deeply about, they're going to go, "Oh my God, you care so much about me." Now, some people won't care about you, and that's unfortunate. But, you've automated this letter, writing thing to a lot of people. They're all getting it, but they think it's just to them. Guess what you don't want to do? You've written this wonderful love letter. How are you going to address it? "Dear to whom it may concern." Right? Because then they don't feel special. Well, your whole marketing is to whom it may concern. Like, that's like when you're saying, "I do everything for everybody," you're saying, "To whom it may concern, I do everything for everybody." And guess how special people feel when you say that? Not at all. They're not going to open your emails. They're not going to download your stuff. And
Yep.
if you say, "I do 3 different kinds of law. I do personal injury, I do estate planning, and I do criminal law," somebody who finds you who says, "Oh, you do criminal law?" And then they compare you to somebody who only does criminal law. Do you not see how that's like if you're going to go hire a doctor who says, "I do brain surgery, I do infectious disease, I do geriatric care, I do hair transplants." Are you going to hire the person there to do your brain surgery when you can find a brain surgeon? No, inherently, you trust people who specialize.
Yes.
So either specialize or find ways to market your different quote-unquote specialties, which aren't actually specialties because you're doing 3 things or 4 things. Try to find ways, and you can do this, and I can't explain, in detail how it's done, but it's done, where when they show up at your website, the ones who are looking for you for one thing don't tend to see the other stuff, because that's going to erode the trust that they might have. So there are ways to do this. It's more complicated. It's more expensive. And it's also more burdensome for you as a practitioner to keep up with the developments in several different practice areas. It's also more burdensome to come up with systems that are different in different practice areas, and then write them all down, and then give those things to different kinds of people that work with you. You can do that if you want to, but you're multiplying the amount of work and expense that you have to do. So what I tell people is, what practice area do you most enjoy? It produces the clients you most like? Figure out how to market in that one as though that's the only one you're going to do, because odds are it is going to be the one you only want to do once you get good at it because you like it already. And then if you really want to circle back and do those other ones, go ahead, go for it. But at least you now know what's involved, you know the expense, you know how much effort it is, and it's not any less effort. Or if it is, it's like 5% less effort, and 5% less money. It's just as much work to do each single one, and then, managing those different practice areas is also hard. So everything works against you when you don't specialize. Everything works for you, including the power of marketing automation when you do specialize. You just need to learn how to connect the dots. It's not that hard, and get people to help you who can help you connect the dots.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. And one of the last questions comes from Aton. Do you recommend WordPress, Wix, or GoDaddy for building your own website?
I recommend WordPress. Stop reading the list. WordPress.
Me too.
And here's why. And here's why. I have used every conceivable blog software or website software out there. I use Blogger, TypePad, I use Movable Type, if anybody remembers that one. I've used them all. Squarespace. I've even tried Wix just for laughs. Here's why you don't want to do that. First off, if you're going to use this for marketing, you're going to want the one that's most optimized or has the tools that are most optimized for marketing, and that's WordPress. Secondly, you're not going to want to set this up yourself. There are more people who know WordPress because it's the dominant platform, and so it's going to be cheaper and easier, and you're going to get better people more easily if you use WordPress. Because remember, you're not going to do it yourself. And you want to design it, you pick a theme. There's lots of different themes. If you if you get the $500 website thing that I talked about, that's basically me explaining, like, look, here's how you go on Upwork. Here's what you say to somebody on Upwork and say, just put up a WordPress site. It's actually $200 or less that it will cost you. Then you'll have to pay for hosting. That's really the only, question is, do you want to pay a little bit for hosting or get more robust hosting? You can change easily later, but it's WordPress. And I don't know how many websites out there are powered by WordPress, but it's an ungodly number. The New York Times uses WordPress. David, you use WordPress, right?
Yep.
Go ahead. Tell me, what did I miss? Why is WordPress the only choice?
Okay. So we love WordPress for a number of reasons. Number one, it's similar in ease of use as Wix and GoDaddy and everything else, where you can drag and drop elements, you can edit text. If you ever want to edit a page on your website, you can just click Edit Page, and it opens up what do they call it, a WYSIWYG viewer, just like Word, where you can edit the bold and the underline, whatever you want. So it's very easy to edit. They have amazing plugins. So if you're looking to increase your ranking on Google, you want to make your website faster, you want to add live chat, whatever you want to do, there's a plugin for it, basically. It's probably the most popular CMS platform I can think of right now. Also, like you said, it's very easy. If you know how to set up a WordPress site, you can do it very quickly. So obviously it's daunting if you've done it before, but Ernie, you said that I saw it before in that slide that you had a one-pager pretty much explaining to everyone how to do it, correct?
Look, I have empathy for lawyers. Unless you want to prove something, enter the science fair, and something, and prove that you were able to set up your own WordPress site, I wouldn't do it. I can do it, and I don't do it anymore. Why? Because I got better things to do with my time. And while it is pretty easy, there are things you could screw up, and you don't want to screw them up. So just pay somebody. There's a guy I found on Upwork who's in St. Louis, he's in Cleveland, and he's Rojas Media, Rob Rojas, Rojas, Rojas Media. I just pay him, and he does stuff. And I needed something set up for a friend. I hired him. It was like $100, or it was like maybe 60. Every time I need something done, I just say, "Hey, Rob, jump on that, would you?" He's like really fast. He's awesome. I found him through Upwork, but now I hire him directly. It's easy to find people to help you with WordPress. Don't do it yourself. What you do want to do yourself is once you have it set up, posting content to it, like David said, is easy. It's like typing into Word. There's, the WYSIWYG editor, you bold stuff. That part, you can do and you want to do, and that you don't need to outsource that, although you could, but you don't want to. You want to, write your own stuff if you can. But everything else, setting it up, oh my God, no, don't waste your time.
Yep, exactly. So one of the things that we touched on before, there's a website called themeforce.net where you can actually find really nice WordPress themes, you could buy it for $50, send it to a Upworker that you find, well, a freelancer you find on Upwork, and for maybe a few $100, you have a beautiful looking website done within 2 weeks. So that's the way to go, I think, as well.
Yep.
Last question comes from someone in our company sent me a message in the chat while we're doing this, asking what is the small firm bootcamp. So from what I understand, this is like a weekend training that you do for attorneys that want to learn how to do everything you're talking about, basically, correct?
Yeah, well, so what happened was I had a site called paperlesschase.com, and I still have it, and it's all about paperless. And then as I learned that more lawyers want to learn about more than just paperless, like how to use the cloud, how to automate, all that stuff, the word paperless doesn't convey that to them. And so I would do these seminars, and I called them boot camps. I called them small firm boot camps. They're live 2-day events. They happen in New Orleans. The next one's going to be in end of March. I have the date, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. And it's 2 days, and so I created that site for that. But then the people who'd come to the 2 days were like, well, or some people couldn't come, and they said, can't you do it online? So I created an online course. It's called the Modern Law Firm Course, and it's got like 60 lessons in there, and I opened it up for registration back in March of last year, and then a bunch of people went through, and now I don't openly sell it, but if you text Mod Law Firm 33444, one of the things that'll happen is you'll get 3 videos that are the first 3 lessons in that course for free, and then if you go through that, then you can buy the course at the currently low price that it's at. It's going to jump the next time I re-release it by a lot. So if you want to do that, if you want to get that online course, you can do that. And if you're in the system, in my email system, then when I do the 2-day live event, I will for sure tell everybody about it and let you know when you can get the low price on that. This year it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do it on the weekend. We're going to do it on a Thursday and Friday before the weekend on which New Orleans has something called Bayou Boogaloo, which is like a music festival. So food, craft, music, kind of like Jazz Fest, except mostly it's only local, so the hotel prices will be reasonable and not off the charts like they would be for Jazz Fest. And so we wanted to make it so that folks who had been in New Orleans or who had been there before but wanted to stay could have something else to do and extend their stay over a fun weekend. So that's why we're picking that weekend. That's when we're going to do it. We are looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, hopefully I'll make it this year and say hi. There's one last question. So recap, Walden asked what was the last recommendation we made regarding getting a new website within 2 weeks. So basically, Walden, you basically go to themeforest.net, you click WordPress, you find a WordPress theme that you like, you buy it for $50. Then you go to Upwork.com, like Ernie said, you find a freelancer that specializes in building WordPress websites. You send them a message, or you post a job and say, I want to spend $300. I have a theme already. Can you build me the site? And you hire them. You give them the theme. They put it on your website. And all you need to do is give them the content, the text, the images, and the links that you want. And that's it. Within 1 or 2 weeks, you can have a website completely built.
Well, you can have it fast in 2. You can have it fast in 2 weeks. Like that. So that $500 link thing. What I explain to people is like, here's what you need to do. So I explain it all in detail. And then I say, okay, so when you go to Upwork, copy and paste this text into the box that says this, and the screenshots that describes everything. As far as the themes, I also limit your number of choices because it's overwhelming the number of themes you could pick. And the thing is, what you do want with themes are, I'm going to give you 3 things that you're going to immediately forget, but you want them. Mobile responsive. You want the site to look good on a mobile device. So that's mobile responsive. You want it to be HTML5 ready. You want it to be optimized for SEO. So there's a company called Studio Press that is owned by a lawyer named Brian Clark, who no longer practices law, who had to figure this stuff all out. He has a site called Copy Blogger. I highly recommend it. It's the one I used to learn what the best platforms were. Their themes are all of those things. So if you pick any Studio Press theme, by definition, it will comply with all of that stuff that I just mentioned. You can go look elsewhere, but their themes are like $100 a pop. So for the extra $50, it works. But yeah, but you want that, and I'm sure you would agree, right? Those 3 things are the things you need. And then you just, Now you know what you want. You say, okay, I want this theme. Hey, Mr. Upwork guy. And actually, the Upwork guy I hired for the first time, when I hired him, he said, by the way, I own all those themes and I can give it to you for free. So if you even put that into your Upwork request, there are probably people out there that have bought all the themes from StudioPress. And if you tell them you want a StudioPress theme, they'll include it as part of the cost, their cost, and they'll just, use it as a lead generator and not charge you more for it.
Cool.
So
Yeah,
pretty
and just
simple, pretty easy.
I've heard of StudioPress a lot, by the way. They're amazing. They have very high quality themes. Your website, Ernie, is on StudioPress?
Yep. Well, now they're on Rainmaker, which is their platform, but it's yes, they're all using StudioPress themes because by definition, that's all you get to choose from. So they're all good. I mean, not all of them are applicable to lawyers. So one of the things I tell you is like, if I were you, I would, confine your search to among, they have 30 something themes, StudioPress does. I'd say here are 4 or 5 that are probably like good ones to start with. And the thing as a designer, later on, they can make the theme look completely different. But what you're doing with the theme is you're ballparking it. Like, it's got this look, I'm happy with this. So what I'm saying is you can have it up in like a day. If you've got the theme, you can go on Upwork and go, I want this theme. I've got hosting set up over here. Here are my passwords. Go load that baby up. You could have it up in an hour.
Oh,
Theoretically.
wow.
But
Okay.
a day is reasonable.
Cool. And for everyone listening, if you have any more questions, feel free to email me. My direct email is david@practicepanther.com, or you can also tweet to us on Twitter at practicepanther, or you can probably get in touch with Ernie. Ernie, how can someone get in touch with you?
Well, if you type in mod firm 33444,
Oh, yes.
I'll be in
Right.
touch with you automatically. But if you want to, Google Ernie the attorney, and I'm pretty easy to find. I can't hide on the internet.
Awesome. Yeah, you're everywhere, which is awesome. So once again, we want to thank everyone for joining us today. This webinar, once again, was recorded, so we will email to you all shortly and put it up on YouTube. And last but not least, Ernie, thank you so much once again for taking the time to be with us today.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. Happy to do
All
it.
right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend. Take care.